everyone, and welcome back to AGXM. Joining me today is Ben of Bitboy Crypto on YouTube to talk with us about the trends that we're seeing in the crypto market. But first, as always, if this is your first time joining us, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel, as well as check out agxpay.com to learn how the power of modern silver money can help you claim financial freedom. Now, thank you for joining us, Ben.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show.
So before talking about the elephant in the room, let's first talk about you and how and why you decided to start Bitboy Crypto.
Yeah, so Bitboy Crypto was actually originally called Bitboy and Hodl. And Bitboy was a cartoon character, as you guys can see here right behind me. And he's gone through a couple changes graphically, but he was a superhero and Hodl was his loyal turtle sidekick. And I started my whole channel as it was supposed to be an animated cartoon series. But over time, the amount of work it took to animate and the views it was bringing in, it wasn't really, making sense for me to continue that. So my friend said, hey, this was in the beginning of 2018. He said, you know what? You know so much about crypto. I've been involved, I've been invested in Bitcoin since 2012. He said, you should tell people about crypto. You should try to teach people or, talk about news, current events and things like that. So that's kind of how the channel evolved into what it is now, where I, cover basically anything involved in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. But yeah, I love creating content and very passionate about it.
All right, so now coming back to the elephant, the coronavirus has been disrupting markets across the board, including cryptocurrencies, but now we're starting to see some bounce back. What are your thoughts on this situation?
For some of your viewers that may not know, I've actually become a coronavirus influencer. I have a TikTok account called CEO of Facts, and I've got 1.4 million followers there. And so it's blown up like really fast. I have a second YouTube channel where I talk about the coronavirus. I do a daily update video called CEO of Facts is the name of the channel, or a Facts CEO. And so I'm very well versed in this, pandemic. I know much more that's going on about it, than most people, because I literally have been, for weeks now, like way before this hit America, like I was really following this and talking about it. And so it's been very interesting to kind of see the two areas of my life now, run, instead of parallel, run perpendicular to each other, where there's an intersection. Because, I'm talking about the coronavirus every day, and now and I've been doing that for, probably about a month now. And now it's, over the last week has, crossed over into crypto. And it's been very interesting to see everything happen. I think so. I got a Telegram message from someone the night before Bitcoin crashed. So this would have been last Wednesday night. Now, of course, everybody was anticipating a big drop the next day when the markets opened. No one was anticipating it to go as low as it did. But the message I got from this person, who I'll keep anonymous, said, just so you know, Bitcoin is going to dump huge tomorrow, and there are some whales that have been waiting on this to basically get rid of their supply. And so I woke up pretty early the next morning, and I missed being able to go short Bitcoin by about 5 minutes when the dump started. And it was really bizarre to me to get that information the night before and then see it happen. So here's the reason why I bring all that up, is to say that what we're seeing right now with Bitcoin is being very resilient, and it's really standing strong the last 5 days compared to the stock markets hitting all-time, two out of the three biggest drops ever for the Dow have been this week. They flipped the circuit breakers 3 times, the whole 9 yards. But Bitcoin's standing strong, and I think the reason why that is not because Bitcoin's this hedgeable asset and everybody's like, oh, finally everyone's seeing the value of it. That may be true. But I think that the dump we got last week was much more manipulated and pushed down much further than it would have just gone naturally. So I think that makes me really lean towards, the last few days I've been leaning towards, we may have already found the bottom. And I think regardless of the reason for it dumping that low, if it was, natural, manipulated, whatever it might have been, if we are in fact at a bottom while the stock market is still falling, regardless of the cause or the intention, people are going to interpret that as, oh, Bitcoin has found its legs now, and if it starts going up while the markets are dipping too, I mean, that could be extremely beneficial for the space.
Yeah, so to that point, recently the Bank of America released an official statement saying that this is in fact a recession. Do you think this could be a defining moment for cryptocurrencies at large to establish themselves as legitimate?
Yeah, I do. I mean, if you look for Google Trends right now and where buy Bitcoin is, last week when Bitcoin dumped, the search results for buy Bitcoin spiked. And so that to me says that a lot of people who are interested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency were sitting on the sidelines because they felt like, once again, kind of like in 2017, that they missed it. It went from 3,000 to 11,000 almost this year. And so a lot of people were thinking I missed it again. And now that it's dropped back down, I think more people are like, well, I can afford a $5,000 Bitcoin. I can't afford a $10,000 Bitcoin. And so I think that from the price perspective and the interest perspective, yes, I think it can be, definitely a defining moment. But then on the other side, when it comes to actually the purpose of cryptocurrency, I mean, it can also be defining. But I think what people need to remember is that Bitcoin is never going to be immune to a crisis like this. Like, there's this narrative that Bitcoin is this hedgeable asset and you put money in it, and no matter what's going on in the world, when we have a world crisis, if we had a world war, a world pandemic like this, if there was, who knows, an asteroid coming to Earth, it's not like everybody's gonna be like, oh, Bitcoin's gonna be the one thing that's not gonna drop. I mean, it's scarcity and so many other positive, aspects of it are great. But when people are panicking at this point, like, they're still looking for liquidity. And so people are going to need actual cash money if there is some kind of breakdown of society. Especially, I mean, who knows what could happen if we had some kind of crazy, apocalyptic type event, even with electricity. There are ways to send Bitcoin without electricity, like through antennas and things like that. But I mean, only less than 0.1% of people that own Bitcoin are going to know how to use those. So it's not going to really be effective for trade. So I think it can be, is the long and the short of the answer to your question. I think it can be a defining moment, but I think we also have to keep it into perspective. I would look at it more as a turning point, maybe, for how serious people would take it.
Fair enough. I agree. It could lend a lot of legitimacy, which is good, because I think during the 2017 boom, the industry didn't exactly establish itself with a lot of maturity. Yeah, and we still haven't, but it's a work in progress, right? So we've spoken a lot about Bitcoin, but what are your thoughts on cryptocurrencies backed by tangible assets like stablecoins, things that are backed by oil or silver or real estate and so on? Where do they fit in the market?
Well, I mean, I definitely believe stablecoins have a place in the market. And I would say that probably while everybody's like, talking about the dollar collapsing and, Bitcoin is what we're going to spend for money, which, I mean, a lot of people don't think that's going to ever happen for many different reasons. But I mean, the easiest pathway to adoption for digital money is through stablecoins. I mean, that's the dirty little secret that people in crypto don't want to talk about, because retailer doesn't want to accept Bitcoin that can drop 50%. Imagine being the CEO of Starbucks and going into your shareholder meeting and saying, guys, profits are down this month because at the first half of the month, we were selling coffee for $3, but by the end of the month, that money was only worth $1.50 per cup. That's not going to go over well. So I think having stable coins, and I do think having a diversified, basket of assets, not necessarily like Libra coin, like having a diversified set of assets behind one coin, but having many different types of stable coins that are backed by different assets and currencies around the world, and commodities. I think that's, probably the quickest way to getting to adoption, because you're pegging them to something in the real world. Like, people, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin maximalists love to say that, but I mean, what does that even really mean? I mean, you can't say like $1 is worth $1 intrinsically. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It depends on where you're at. It depends, a dollar at Disney World is not worth the same that a dollar at your gas station is. They'll buy different levels of things. So I think that really just the whole world is pulled by supply and demand. And I think that where stablecoins fit in with that is allowing people to be able to know what their money is worth relatively. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think that makes perfect sense. My personal opinion is that the future of wealth is decentralized. Not in the sense of a blockchain necessarily, but that your wealth will be stored in a basket of assets that can instantly be made liquid at a moment's notice into whatever national currency you need. Now, for your community, what are you advising them in the midst of all this anarchy in the markets?
On my channel, I do daily videos, and I did a video the other day where I explained, like, my opinion on what you need to do. It changes from day to day, because we're constantly right now more than ever in a more uncertain time than ever. And also, we're getting new information about the way that everything's developing in the world right now at a breakneck pace. So kind of like if you think about it in terms of technical analysis, like if you are a charter, then what is going to give you a more solid indicator for what you should do? Is it going to be the 1 minute chart, the 1 day chart, or the monthly chart?
Right.
It's going to be the longer time frame. The longer time frames are always going to give you more information. So, like when I do videos on my channel, I'm doing them daily. I always get new information. But if I were to make one video a month, then that would be able to like a much larger indicator of what's going on. So I've actually changed my opinion on where we're going 3 times in the last 7 days because of all the new information coming. So I think right now, today, how I feel today is I think that there are some strong indicators that we are near the bottom if we haven't bottomed right now. Earlier this week, I thought we could have gone down to 2,500, but the fact that Bitcoin has sat still while everything else has been dropping has given me a lot more confidence. And in addition to that, I'm even going more in that corner now because now we're maybe starting to see some, pump leading up to the halving. Okay. And on top of that, we've got the president of the United States today saying that this trial medicine for curing the disease that's going on right now is working, and it's having great results. And it's a medicine that's already available. It's not like something they got to mass produce. I mean, they'd have to make more of it, obviously, but that could be a light at the end of this the tunnel of this. And if we get some kind of big announcement about, that curbing the amount of people dying or whatever it might be, because everything's tied to Corona right now. So if we were to get some kind of announcement like that and say, oh, they did it in New York City, and now out of the, 2,000 people that have it, in 1 week, 90% of those people recovered, well, that's going to ease the entire situation. And we could see what Steve Mnuchin said the other day, which is a V shape into the economy, not a long drawn out recession. I guess the caveat to that would be, I mean, a lot of people think we were already due for a recession. So we still could go into a recession, but I mean, before this happened, the economy still was showing a lot of signs of life and strength and growth. So I think that, that's my opinion on that right now.
Well, I mean, I think that's a fair statement, and markets do tend to be cyclical, so it's not really a question of if, but rather when we'll see the other side of that V form. Thank you so much again for joining us. You've provided a lot of valuable insight today. Do you have any closing thoughts or words for our viewers?
I would say that this is a very special time for cryptocurrency. This is a moment where, we're going to see what direction we're going to go against the markets, and whether or not, Bitcoin becomes this, crazy hedgeable asset that everybody hopes that it will be. I think the important thing is to remember the underlying ideals of cryptocurrency, which is that we should be our own bank, and that moments like this, where people are worried about having to go pull cash out, while cash is king and people do need liquidity, I think this really just drives home the point of we need a total overhaul of our financial system. And I think we're going to get it one way or the other.
Thank you, and take care.
Awesome, man. See you. Bye.
Sorry. That's all we have for our interview with Ben from Bitboy Crypto. So glad that you guys could join us. And as always, if this is your first time, please go ahead and subscribe to our channels, as well as check out agxpay.com to learn how the power of modern silver money can help you claim financial freedom.